Padme Amidala and Anakin Skywalker have no chemistry. Now, I know that statement alone probably is a controversial one, but first, let me introduce myself. My name is Tia. I'm the content manager for Geek Vibes Nation, and I'm diving into another character analysis that is not necessarily an individual character analysis, but more of a relationship analysis. One of the biggest Star Wars couples is Anakin and Padme. You can almost say that it was their relationship that was the downfall of the Republic and the Jedi Order. But this video isn't about that. It's about their relationship and, in my opinion, their lack of chemistry. Now, Star Wars is always a hot topic, and if you disagree with anything I have to say in this video, please comment, but keep it civil. My opinion on this matter is solely based on the prequel series and the Clone Wars series. I have read a few Star Wars books. I'm aware of the lore in other places, but my main how I got to this conclusion was primarily based on the prequels and the series The Clone Wars, which you can now watch on Disney Plus. And if you have like an example of where maybe there's some good writing between the two of them and they seem like they have good chemistry, please comment that below. I am very interested. Now, I want to say that it's not that I don't think the actors who played these characters did a good job in their roles. I think they were fine. Hayden Christensen is a great Anakin Skywalker, and Natalie Portman played a good Padme Amidala. It's that I don't think their roles were written in the manner that would scream these two click together. And as you're hearing this, you may say, Tia, the point is that their relationship isn't a great relationship. But there are many instances online where people talk about how great their relationship is, or, George Lucas himself has talked about how it's the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker losing the wife that he loved and many other reasons that led him to become Darth Vader. So I am going to attack this as this relationship was meant to be taken seriously, but it is not written in a way that is a healthy one or even one that makes sense or clicks. Before I go on with my analysis on Anakin and Padme's relationship, I wanted to briefly talk about some couples in the Star Wars continuity that I believe do have great chemistry. You have Obi-Wan and Satine. While not in a current relationship, you saw that they had a lot of history with each other. And even though the two weren't in a current relationship, I thought that they had a lot of chemistry throughout their scenes in the Clone Wars. I also believe that you have Kanan and Hera from Star Wars Rebels. I thought that they had fantastic chemistry with each other. And even though, listen, if you watch the series Star Wars Rebels, which you should in preparation for the Ahsoka series that's coming out on Disney Plus soon, as you're watching the show, it's never explicitly stated that Kanan and Hera are in a relationship up until the very end, but it's pretty obvious from the jump that those two are, into each other. And then, of course, we have to speak about Han Solo and Leia, who are probably one of the other biggest relationships in the Star Wars continuity outside of Anakin and Padme. These are just some examples of couples who I think have great chemistry with each other. Another one that I probably want to say is, if you haven't read the book The Dark Disciple, it's a very good book, and it's canon and kind of details a story arc that was going to be in the 7th season of the Clone Wars cartoon before it got canceled and then picked back up by Disney and then just kind of left out. But there's a relationship between the characters of Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos. They have great chemistry with each other. So now that I've kind of talked about some of the characters that click with each other, let's talk about the two who don't. Anakin Skywalker met Padme when he was just a child on Tatooine, and she was the queen of Naboo. Now, the two of their relationship in these moments is very innocent because Anakin is a literal child in these moments, as well as Padme. She's very young as well. I'm not sure what age either of them are, but it is very well established that Anakin is a literal child. The next time we see the two of them interact with each other is the next movie where Anakin is now more of an adult. I believe that he is confirmed to be 19. He is reintroduced to Padme Amidala, and several things happen here. Anakin confesses that he hasn't stopped being able to think about Padme. They spend a considerable amount of time with each other, considering Padme's life is in danger. And by the end of this second prequel movie, they are married. Now, there's already many points in this movie that, for me, as I was watching it, seemed as if these two were having a really hard time clicking with each other. And again, I'm not sure if it was necessarily the actors or the writing, but they did not click with each other. There was many points in the movie where it seemed as if they were having two different conversations with each other. Padme would say one thing, Anakin would counter with something that had nothing to do with the conversation at hand. There's a moment where, and obviously it's an upsetting moment, Anakin races back to Tatooine at some point, sees that his mother is dying, and then in a fit of rage decides to exact his revenge on the Sand People, which includes the women and children of the village. And he tells this to Padme, and she just doesn't have the reaction that I feel a person would have upon hearing that. And part of me wonders if this is because they needed the two of them to get married. Because you watch the film and both of them are seemingly understanding that they shouldn't be with each other. And I don't think, again, that it's just their lack of chemistry, but they literally just acknowledge that they shouldn't be with each other. He's a Jedi, she is a senator. It's not a good idea. And if you didn't know that the two of them had to get together to have Luke and Leia and to kind of be the catalyst for the final stage of Anakin's descent into being Darth Vader, you would think to yourself that there's no way these two should be together, and you'd be shocked at the end of the movie that the two got married. But they get married, and it's very jarring. And then we have the show, The Clone Wars, which does obviously give the two of them more time with each other than we saw necessarily in the movies, but it's still very awkward. And I could probably come up with a lot of examples, one of them being some of the first interactions that we see with the two of them, that being Padme very stressed about her job as a senator, how this war is turning out, what it's doing to the people not only of Naboo, but in the entire Republic system. And Anakin essentially is kind of brushing that off. Pay attention to me. Let's not think about that. Don't you love me? The most important thing in my life is you. Why am I not the most important thing in your life? When she's literally trying to prevent this all-out war from destroying everything. And again, it goes into that they're having two separate conversations at one. Padme seems always a little frustrated with Anakin, but kind of just like lets up because, oh, that's Anakin. And it just seems a little odd and forced. I feel when I watch them that the two of them don't even know each other. For instance, there was a moment in the show where a old flame of Padme's is kind of under fire, and the Jedi and the Republic kind of want her to, spy on this guy Clovis for them. And Anakin's like, oh, I didn't even know you knew this guy Clovis. And it's as if neither of them ever had conversations with each other about their past, about anything. And one can argue because they have to keep their relationship secret, and she is a senator, he's a Jedi who is fighting in the middle of a war, and he's always probably out. It doesn't seem like they spend a lot of time with each other, but the fact that these two are married and it seems as if they know virtually nothing about the other is very shocking to me. Um, I just don't feel this dynamic even in the Clone Wars series. And I have to tell you, I absolutely love the Clone Wars series. I really like their version of Anakin, even though at times he can display the same sort of, you know, selfishness that we see in the movies. And I do like this version of Padme a lot too. But still the two of them don't click. You can even say on a platonic level that Anakin and Ahsoka have more connection than Anakin and Padme. Anakin and Obi-Wan have more of a connection than Anakin and Padme. I never once felt that these two characters should be together, that they made sense with each other, or realistically, that they even liked each other. Now, you may say, Anakin loved Padme. Everything he did was for Padme. And I say about that I think Anakin loved the idea of Padme. Think about it. He was a young person when he met Padme. He obviously thought that she was very beautiful, very kind, and he thought of her for all these years. And so in his mind, he wanted to uphold this image that he had of Padme, even though she's a person. Instead of really getting to know her, he just wants to keep whatever image he has of her pure. In Revenge of the Sith, the third prequel movie, we find out that Padme is pregnant. And this is when Anakin starts having a lot of dreams of Padme dying. And these are similar dreams to what he had leading up to the death of his mother. So he feels that I had dreams of my mom dying and she ended up dying. So if I'm having dreams of Padme dying, it means that she must die and I have to do everything to save her. Realistically, without ever getting Padme's consent to do any of the things that he was going to do. I mean, when he even tells Padme that they're about to have when he tells Padme that he's having these dreams, she is just essentially saying, this baby's going to change our lives, X, Y, and Z, and he's just like, I will save you. I will do everything to save you. And again, it goes into it seems like they're having two different conversations at once. It's as if he can't even stand the idea of Padme having her own autonomy and her own opinion, or even looking to get her feelings about this matter. It is just all about his desperation to keep her alive, because what it would do to him as opposed to what it would do to her to lose her own life. And I don't know how, I don't want to completely assassinate Anakin's character, even though he does turn into Darth Vader, one of like the biggest villains in all TV, movie, novelization, whatever. I think it's like kind of hard when you watch the Clone Wars cartoon to hate Anakin because he's such a centralized character of the show, but he does eventually turn into Darth Vader. But still, I know that a lot of people love Anakin. They especially love Hayden Christensen's rendition of Anakin. So I'm not trying to put it all entirely on Anakin. I think in Padme's sense, she should have seen a lot of this coming from a mile away. And there's a scene in Revenge of the Sith where Obi-Wan tells Padme of all the atrocities that Anakin is now committing after Anakin turns to the dark side. And Padme goes, no, not him. He could never. There's still good in him. And I saw someone online reference to when he literally tells her about the annihilation that he bestowed upon the Sand People. Padme, you kind of should have seen this coming a mile away. So it is definitely on her as well. I don't know how she got so blinded by him, but she certainly is. And again, when it comes to Anakin not being able to understand Padme's side of things, it comes towards the end of the movie where, Padme goes to confront Anakin on Mustafar, and instead of Anakin, and again, I want to say that I know he has turned to the dark side, his mind is cloudy, but instead of him sitting there and saying, Padme is coming up with some really good points, I am going down a dark path, I've kind of taken things a little too far in my quest to save her, he instead looks at Obi-Wan Kenobi and says, you turned her against me, taking all of the responsibility out of his hands. And in fact, Anakin is the one who causes Padme's death. I know that it's kind of a contested thing. People say she died during childbirth. Yes, technically she died during childbirth, but it is the way Anakin handled her prior to that and essentially breaking her heart that led to her death during childbirth. So just want to get that out of the way. But yeah, I mean, it goes again to the fact that he loved the idea of her, not the actual person that she was. When I look at the two of them and I see their interactions, Anakin feels very immature, where Padme feels very mature, even though she still makes questionable choices, especially in the movie universe. In the Clone Wars, her choices aren't as bad, but you can argue her even agreeing to marry Anakin in the first place without virtually knowing him is very immature and ill-sighted. And I know that Anakin and Padme's relationship is such a major catalyst in the Star Wars universe. If the two of them had never gotten together, who knows what would have happened. But I certainly do not think that their relationship was even slated to last. I think that if Padme kind of either Anakin had to mature greatly or Padme should have separated things from Anakin, because their relationship was not only a toxic one, which I'm sure many people have probably done videos on, but they just have no chemistry with each other. I do not believe anytime that the two of them say that they love each other. Whenever he's holding her, it almost looks as if she's giving him a kiss out of pure obligation. I swear I got that vibe several times from not only the live action versions, but the Clone Wars versions of these two characters. I do not see their chemistry with each other. I do not see them clicking with each other. I cannot even imagine them having very meaningful conversations with each other, because again, the conversations that they've had with each other, especially in the movie versions of them, just seem like instead of them talking to each other, they're talking at each other. And essentially they're waiting for the other person to stop talking so that they can start talking about whatever it is on their mind, instead of engaging with what the other person is saying. And that unfortunately is a huge problem with everyday life. You may feel that there are people in your lives that you're having a similar situation to. And if you feel that in real life, you must not like it, feeling as if you're having two different conversations at the same time. There's a great there is a great quote from the movie Fight Club that says, when people think you're dying, they really, really listen to you instead of just waiting for their turn to speak. And when I see Anakin and Padme speaking with each other, it seems like both of them are just waiting for their turn to speak. Does not seem like the two of them are talking to each other. And that's why I personally feel that they don't have a whole lot of chemistry with each other. Again, I mentioned some great relationships, in my opinion, at the beginning of this. I go back to the characters of Kanan and Hera from Star Wars Rebels, which again, if you have not watched, you should. It is really good. You have Kanan, who is a Jedi, Hera, who is an amazing pilot and leader in the rebellion force. And while the two of them don't always have time for each other, we don't see them, a ton being very, very romantic with each other, but just the little looks, the body language, the, conversations that they have with each other, you can feel the chemistry way before they even have the two of those characters actually kiss each other. And when they do, it's very natural, as opposed to Anakin and Padme, where it always feels forced. So that is the video that I kind of wanted to do. Again, if you disagree with anything that I have to say, I welcome the challenge, not the challenge, sorry. I welcome the conversation because again, I am not a expert in Star Wars. I have not read every single novel. I haven't read every single comic book. I have just watched the live action movies with, you know, some TV shows and also the Clone Wars. So if you can point to me where Anakin and Padme really click with each other, please let me know. Or if you feel that their characters were purposely written to not have any chemistry with each other, please let me know that as well. But I have to tell you, I feel like both the writing and the actors, there's no chemistry at all. So please let me know about that. The Ahsoka show is coming out soon. I'm very excited for that. I hope you guys are as well. I have really fallen in love with the character Ahsoka upon really sitting down and watching the Clone Wars series. I remember watching that series when I was younger, when it first played on Cartoon Network. And now that I've kind of gotten back into it and watched the final season, it's absolutely fantastic. And I really liked Star Wars Rebels. I think that according to what I see online in the fandom, it doesn't get nearly enough love, but they're great depictions of Ahsoka. So if you are waiting for the TV show to come out on Disney Plus, you can always watch the Clone Wars and Rebels. As always, please make sure that you like and subscribe. Geek Vibes Nation is constantly growing, and it's only thanks to those who continue to watch our stuff and be gracious with their time to even give us a thumbs up. So I do appreciate that always as well. Please make sure that you follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. We are growing on TikTok, and it feels so great. Please, please, please do not shut TikTok down. It is all I do at night. So please make sure that you follow us there as well. And if you're looking to follow me, I am on Twitter and TikTok, TC_Stark. I haven't posted a lot lately just due to personal reasons, but if you want to follow me, you are more than welcome to. And of course, we have, on top of putting out videos and TikToks, Geek Vibes Nation also has a huge writing community where I also do written reviews, articles, and all that fun stuff. And we have a fantastic group of writers that are continuously reviewing, writing, and all that great stuff. And that's geekvibesnation.com. So make sure you give us a look there. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye.